What's going on, YouTube? Want to welcome you back to another episode of Behind the Chair, the authority for all things barbering. I'm your host, No Guard Nick, and we got a jam-packed episode for you guys today. Today we'll be going over how do you become a barber, licensing, schooling, all of that. So strap on your seatbelts and enjoy the ride. What's going on, YouTube? Hope all is well. Today we got a jam-packed episode. We're going to be going over licensing. How do you become a barber? What is the process like? And what do I have to do to get there? Disclaimer, I am in the state of Maryland, and I'll be going over the state of Maryland's licensing procedure. Your state may vary. So if you live in another state other than Maryland, look into your state board regulations and figure out what it is that it's going to take for you to get your license. All right, so we got that out the way. In Maryland, there's two types of licenses. There's a barber license, and then there's a barber styling license. And we'll go ahead and get into the difference between the two. So a barbering license allows you to do all of the haircuts, all of the beard trimming, the facial massages, and all of that. Also, it allows you to do chemical relaxing, body waving, create and design hair pieces, which are hair prosthesis. It's not a hair unit. It's not a hair piece. Hair prosthesis. Also, you're allowed to do shampoo and color. So in a nutshell, barbering, you're allowed to do chemical processes also while using the razor and cutting hair. Boom. With a barber styling license, you're able to do all of those things, excluding chemical processes like color, body waving, hair relaxers, all of that. And you cannot do hair prosthesis. You can't design them. You can't install them. So that's what you're limited to. So now we're going to get into the process of obtaining a barber license. And then after that, we'll go ahead and get into the barber styling license. There's two avenues that you can go through to get your barber license. You could either go to school, which is a barber school, an accredited barber school, or you could be under a master barber and do an apprenticeship. So if you want to go into school route, it's going to be about 1,200 logged hours, right? So that averages out to be 30 weeks, which is about a little over 7.5 months. So you can either go to a Paul Mitchell school, you can go to Bladesburg, you can go to Baltimore Beauty Barbering School, or you can go to the Academy of Barbering Professionals, just to name a couple of the local ones that are out here. Option number 2, you can do an apprenticeship. Now, the apprenticeship is 2,250 hours. As you can tell, it's 1,000 more hours than going to school. That averages out to be around a little over 56 weeks, which is a year and 2 months and some change. And that's based on an 8-hour day. I did an apprenticeship. I was under a master barber, and I did the 2,250 hours. It's a long process, but in my opinion, you get way more out of it because you're learning from a master. I don't know how it goes in a school, but for me and the way I like to learn, it was easier for me to be under a master barber. I got to learn a lot of tricks of the trade that I don't necessarily feel I would learn while I was in the school because I'm seeing it real time. I'm learning the business. I'm learning the different techniques. I'm learning systems. I'm learning what works and what doesn't work by seeing somebody else do it. So in my opinion, because I'm a little biased because I did the apprenticeship, I would go with the apprenticeship. But those are your two options for the barbering license. Now, to the barber styling license, which is a little bit different. And if you don't want to do chemical processes and all of that type stuff and hair units, hair prosthesis, I'm just going to lay it out for you. So the schooling hours is only 900 hours. So it's almost 300 less hours of schooling that you have to do for the barber styling license. So that averages out to be like 22 weeks, which is almost 6 months, right? Then you have the apprenticeship. The apprenticeship is 1,650 hours. So that's like 42 weeks, a little over 42 weeks, a little under 42 weeks. And it's about a little over 10 months. I don't see it being a problem. Hey, if you can get it faster and you don't want to do chemical processes and color and all that other type stuff, and you can still cut, I don't see a problem with it. So after you go to school or you do your apprenticeship, after you complete those hours, you're going to have to take your state board test. It's going to be a test and it's going to be a practical. The test is going to be a standard test. You're going to be in a computer or it's going to be on paper, but we're in a digital age, so it's pretty much going to be digital. So you'll pass the theory. The theory is just the questions. Once you pass the theory, then you'll be able to take the practical. The practical is showing your technique. You're going to do rollers. You're going to do hair cutting techniques. You're going to, it's a lot that goes with that. And I'll actually make another video on what it takes to get your license in the practical. So I'll go ahead and make a video for that. Once you pass those tests, Then you'll go ahead and apply for your license with the state board. All in all, from taking the test at PSI, which is like under $60 to go ahead and pay for that test, and then to get your to apply for your actual license with the state board, then that license is $56. So in total, you'll probably be paying $110 for your licensing and testing after you completed your hours. So it's not a bad deal. So in a nutshell, that's how you get your license. It's either you go to school or you can do an apprenticeship. So between the barber styling and the barbering license, you're looking between 6 months to a year and a half. It's not a bad deal. You just have to be willing to put in the time to get your license. And to own a shop, which a lot of people want to do, you have to be licensed. In my opinion, I would go with the apprenticeship because you get way more out of the deal. You get an understanding of what systems are. You get what works, what doesn't work. You get to see bookings. You get to see a lot more of the experience of being a barber in the shop than you do in school. So that's my opinion. Take it or leave it. So in a nutshell, that's how you get your license in Maryland. I want to thank you guys for tuning in to another episode of Behind the Chair, the authority for all things barbering. And we'll be back with another episode soon. Peace.